Okay, hello women, hello BitQueens. If you can hear me, if you can see me, please go to the comments and leave your best emoji. We're here to learn about blockchain technology and how it can empower us women. So today, I'm so happy that we're all live again. We had our last session last Sunday, and in that, we started our first journey to the blockchain space, into the blockchain space. Actually, we started the journey. It was learning blockchain from scratch. And we talked about the evolution of the web. We talked about how blockchain came to be. We talked about how Bitcoin was born. We touched a little on cryptocurrencies generally, and then we looked at reason why women should pay close attention to blockchain technology. See, blockchain is changing the way the world works, and women ought to be at the forefront of this innovative technology. So today we are kicking off again with another interesting part of blockchain. We are diving right into the crypto world. Yes. So if you can hear me again, I'd like to get some feedback. If you can see my screen, because sometimes people come in and say, oh, I'm having some audio issues. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't see you. Please go to the comments. If you can hear me, just type the word yes, just write yes. So I will know that you can hear me. Those who are just coming in, welcome. But you missed a bit of the fun part because we were jamming and having a good time. I had a good time myself, and I'm sure those who came in earlier had a great time too. So I'm just going to pull up my screen now. So we get right into our conversation for today. Okay, so if you need to say anything, you need to pass any information across, please feel free to use the charts. I'll be looking at it with time to see what information you are leaving for me. All right, so if you can see my screen, we are about to start what we have for today. So we're going to be looking at the world of cryptocurrencies. We're diving into the world of cryptocurrencies, a beginner's guide. Yes, though it's beginner's guide, but we like to do things, in a better way. So we took it a bit notch higher, but don't worry, you're going to enjoy every bit of what we are going to be, discussing today. So let me see the feedback. Okay, coming in. Okay, I can see Laura says hello. Okay, Laura, I assume you can hear me. Charity says hello. Okay, that's great. So I'd like us to get ready, get your journals ready with which to capture points as they drop. You're ready to ask questions. Remember, this class is not just for those who are hearing for the first time. You could also be somebody who has gotten a bit information or knowledge about cryptocurrency, and you have some questions that have been bothering you or something you want to just get cleared. This session will be a great opportunity for you to, ask those questions. So with that said, I'm just going to get into our topic for today, which is diving into the world of cryptocurrency. So basically what that means is we are going to be looking at cryptocurrencies. And yes, it's me, Christy Emmanuel. I'm a blockchain educator, and I love having each and every one of us in this community, BitQueens. And so without wasting much of our time, if you're just joining for the first time, in case you are here and it's your very first time, BitQueens is a community that is helping women learn about blockchain technology in the simplest and most fun way. And our vision is to help you learn blockchain technology as easy as possible, as enjoyable as possible, creating a community that allows you feel supported, makes you feel confident and excited to begin to explore all the endless opportunities that are available in the blockchain space. So that's just a bit of what we are doing. We have sessions like this every Sunday. And of course, with time, we're going to be introducing other activities that will help you learn in the most fantastic way. So with that said, let's look at what we're going to be discussing today. So what are we going to be learning? We want to set the tone. First, we're going to be looking at evolution of money, how money even came to be. Why are we even talking about cryptocurrencies? How did we get here? We're going to be looking at all that. how cryptocurrencies were birthed, what is even cryptocurrencies, the features, and why we should even consider using it. Why should I care? I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm okay with the fiat currencies I use. Why should I even bother about cryptocurrencies? We're all going to learn about that. Then different types of cryptocurrencies. We're also going to see how cryptocurrencies work and why cryptocurrency is important for women. Now, this is very important. We need to really pay attention so you understand why this is really important for you. And then we're going to have interactive session where we get to share whatever questions we have, share whatever we learned, and all of that. So with that said, let's dive right into it. So we're going to be looking at the journey, the evolution of money from barter to Bitcoin. How did we get here? Okay, so in some years back, like 6000 BC, that was when the concept of money was actually, generated. People had needs and wanted a situation where they could exchange what they had for what they didn't have. For instance, I could have some yams and I wanted oil. There was nothing particular to say this is money with which to go and buy. So the only way people could meet their needs was to exchange what they had for what they didn't have, and that gave rise to the barter system. Okay, so people exchanging what they had for what they didn't have. So I could give you rice and you give me beans. I give you oil and you can give me wheat, depending on what I was looking for. So now that was so good because you didn't really have to spend much. All you needed to do was just go out there and see people who had what you're looking for, and then you offer them what you had. But the challenge was, it was not always easy. It was not all the time you would see somebody who had what you wanted and also needed what you had. So that was a challenge. So you could have, for instance, oil, but I don't want oil. I want meat, and you have oil to offer me and you're looking to have my rice. So that became a challenge in itself over time. And then people now, said, okay, you see what, let's look for some objects that we attach some value to and say, okay, let's begin to use this objects. So objects like shell, objects like salt, objects like, very special metals like axe. All these things were used in the time past as a form of money. So it was easier for people to move these things around. But again, the challenge was if you were traveling far to other countries or to do business with other merchants, other places, not all of them accepted it as a way of exchanging value, because different provinces, different regions had what they believed to be money to them. Okay, so it did not propagate trade as much as possible. So that in itself, again, became another challenge. So people now started crafting ways. Now, before then, we had the use of gold and all these metals, not purely gold, but, some kind of precious metals, momentarily, where people now said, okay, people started to accept all those metals, all those, precious metals. Now we had what we call the, gold keepers or the merchants whose work was to keep your gold or keep whatever precious metal that you had, and then issue you a paper. That paper is called IOU, meaning that they will write, okay, you've given us so weight of so metal. And so they give you a paper that represents like receipts of what you've given them. So people were coming to deposit all those precious metals that they have, which they could use as money, but even when they don't need it, they just have to go and keep it somewhere. That's how the concept of banking started. So these people had a way of safeguarding all these precious metals. So when you take your precious metal to them, they give you a paper. That paper on it is written IOU, meaning that there's something they're owing you. So the weight of the precious metal you've given them, the quantity and whatever it is written on that paper, and then you can hold it. So anytime you need to trade, you need to do business, you can go back to them, give them that paper, and they will give you back your gold or your precious metal or whatever it was that you had. But guess what? At a time, people stopped going back because that paper felt like it was valuable. Why do I need to go back and collect the gold? So you do business with someone and the person, you want to pay the person. So what you will normally do is to go back to, the metal bankers who will now give you your precious metal and then you pay. So people now figured out, why do I even need to go back when I have this paper? Of course, anytime I tender this paper is acceptable. So that's how people now started exchanging those IOUs that they got from these metal bankers. So there was no need going back to, collect these metals. And besides, they were precious metals and could enter into the wrong hands. Like thieves could waylay you or stop you on the way and collect the precious metals. So people felt it was even more convenient to leave those metals or the precious metals with these bankers while they just, transfer the papers, which, showed how much they had with those merchants. That was how the concept of banking started. So at some point, people didn't bother again going for, those precious metals that they had. And then it started to expand. Gold in itself, started becoming the standard, as it were. And then sometime in 1950, when evolution continued, of course, development kept coming, and we came to the point where we now use credit cards. And then, of course, before that time, we had paper money, like different regions now started developing their own paper money. So you can see in between a lot of things were happening. For instance, the US used their US dollar, like for instance, here in Nigeria, we have our own paper currency. So different provinces and different regions started developing their own paper currency. Now, one thing was that these paper currencies were backed by gold. Like I said, so they were backed by these precious metals, meaning that you could literally take your precious metal to the bank. Of course, by then, the system of banking had also improved and became more sophisticated than the local way it was or the way it started. And so you could really literally walk into any bank, as it were, at the time and deposit your bank, and you were given equivalent of the paper currency of that region to represent the value that you had. So the dollar, for instance, was pegged to a certain value of gold. So there was a certain value of gold you bring. It represented a certain value of the paper currency. And so this was how the world continued. So gold started to back the dollar, and the dollar was now spreading because most of the currencies in the world today take their value from the dollar. And so dollar started to spread across board. People were shipping in their gold from different parts of the world, putting it in the hands of the Federal Reserve, which is, like the central bank of the US. And of course, they had, it's a way of, banking their money, and of course, having a reserve with, a higher bank or a higher authority. But you know what? At some point, it became very tedious to carry cash about. And so we came with this idea of credit cards. We all have one with us, whether it's a debit card or whether it's a credit card. People, now designed a way to carry money without really carrying the physical cash or carrying, gold as it were. But guess what? Sometime around 1976, there was something significant happened. The then president of the United States depegged the dollar, meaning that dollar no longer gold no longer backed the dollar. And that was a major twist to the whole thing. You see, dollar was no longer as valuable as it used to be because the government said dollar was no longer backed by gold. Why? Because they discovered that there was enough printing of money more than you had, because normally it had to be pegged. You would have a certain amount in dollars that will be, equal to certain amount of gold. So we had the printing of more money than we had gold, which meant that, if everybody went to the bank to say, give us our gold, it wouldn't, the money would not, everybody will not get their gold, okay? So you see where the problem started. Because of that problem, the then president of the United States, depegged the dollar and said the dollar was no longer backed by gold. So a lot of things happened in between, but eventually in the journey of transformation from barter to Bitcoin, we came to the era where people started to use credit cards. And from there, we started to use electronic money. For instance, from your phone, you could do transfer. You don't even need to carry cards anywhere. Just anywhere you are, you can just even scan a QR code. As small as that is, you can scan a QR code and make payments wherever you are. Sometime in 2008, something changed. At that period, there was what we call economic meltdown. The world was facing economic meltdown. Prior to that, some researchers some computer scientists were working behind the background. How do we control situations like this to see that money has value? No government can just wake up and start printing money the way they wanted, And so, of course, sometime in 1991, that's when the idea of blockchain was, discovered. And so by that, the people who built or invented Bitcoin started to work on such idea, leveraging the system of the blockchain. That is how blockchain works. And by 2009, Bitcoin was launched, 2009 January specifically. So you can see the long journey we've had from barter system to having cryptocurrencies. Isn't that amazing? And isn't that some wonderful history there? Some of us use money. We don't even know how it came. We don't even know the economic system, how it works. And some of these things are the changes that, of course, influence and inform the way things happen. So with that said, you can now see how the idea from, barter system has translated into having cryptocurrencies today as we speak. And so the birth of cryptocurrency came like in 2008, like I told you, when the world started having, economic meltdown. And a lot of companies went down the drain and people suffered a great deal. The economy went down and it affected the world over. And so these people, by the name Satoshi Nakamoto, actually, nobody knows if it's one person or a group of people. But either a person or a group of people under the name Satoshi Nakamoto came with the idea of a digital currency that won't be controlled by any one person, that will have finite numbers, like a kind of digital currency that can be transferred over the internet without the interference of any third party, without control of any one jurisdiction, and of course, in a way that is transparent, in a way that is secure, okay, and without having to duplicate that value. For instance, if you send someone a piece of document, or if you send somebody an email, the person still has a copy of that email, right? And the person, you too have a copy of the email. So the question is, how do we send money over the internet so that the person doesn't have the money when he has sent it? So sending documents is different from sending value over the internet. So all these things were put, into consideration into designing this particular digital currency that we now know as Bitcoin. So it was released, the white paper was released in 2008. White paper simply means a technical document that explains what Bitcoin is, the reason behind its invention, how it works, and things like that. And so by 2009, Bitcoin went live. At the time, it was still very new. When it went live, not everybody understood what it was. So people are asking questions, what is even cryptocurrency? What is this digital money? You cannot even hold it. Yes, it's one of the features of this currency. It's actually virtual. You cannot hold it. So in case you're like such people, you're asking what exactly is even this cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual form of money, virtual form of cash. You cannot see it. You cannot touch it, you cannot hold it in your hand, as it were. But not just that, it's designed to ensure that it is secure when sent over the internet, and it's authentic. And cryptography, cryptography means the use of codes to make something secure, as it were. So concept of cryptography was used to design cryptocurrencies. So it's a digital money or virtual money that can be used to transfer value over the internet. It's that simple. So anytime anyone asks you what is cryptocurrency, simply it's a digital or virtual form of money that can be transferred over the internet in a secure and transparent manner. Okay, and the way it was formed or designed is by cryptography. Cryptography means using codes to make something safe, to make it authentic, to make it immutable, to make it induplicable. That is, you cannot duplicate it. So having said that, what now are the features of cryptocurrency? Now I'm going to the chats. If you're learning, if you're having fun, please go to the comments and leave me some feedback. If you're getting what we're learning, if you're following me, say, yes, I'm understanding. Yes, I'm learning. Yes, I'm following you. Just send me some feedback. I'm in the chats already. I'm waiting for your feedback to come in. Yes, I'm waiting for your feedback to come in. Let me have those feedback. Go there and say, yes, I'm learning. Yes, I'm following. If you're not following, say I'm not following. You can leave whatever questions that you have. I'll quickly respond to that and incorporate it in my, presentation. Yes, I can see Virginia says, having a great time. Thank you for your feedback. Yes, Madam Mutiat says, yes, I'm behind you. That's great. Thank you for your feedback. Please, if you're having some great time, tell me in the comments that you're having great time, you're learning, you're following, you're enjoying the class, you're enjoying what we have for today. Let me have all that feedback coming in. Thank you very much for your feedback. So now let's look at the features of cryptocurrency. When I say features, I mean characteristics. What makes it different from the normal money that you and I know and use, on daily basis? First, it is not controlled by any central authority. For instance, if you're, from Nigeria, like I am, we have our own central currency. That is our own national currency, and it's called the Naira. And the Naira is controlled by the Nigerian government through the central bank. So, but when it comes to cryptocurrencies, it's not controlled by any central authority. So it's not controlled by any jurisdiction. It's not controlled by any one person. That's why how you will know but cryptocurrency is different from the normal money that we have. Even if it's dollar, it's controlled by the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank in the US, and every other, currency out there, like the pound, like the yen, like the cedi, and every other currency that you know out there. Then it's secured because cryptography was used. I told you cryptography is the use of codes to make sure that a certain value is secure, is authentic, and you can be sure that what you've gotten is real. So it's secured. Not only that, you have a lot of people who are on the blockchain network. Remember, we mentioned in our last conversation last Sunday that cryptocurrencies run on the blockchain. Cryptocurrencies don't exist on their own, okay? There has to be a platform on which it runs, and that platform or network is called blockchain. So because of the way the blockchain is designed to be transparent, to be mutable, to be decentralized, you have a lot of people on that network. By people, I mean computers that are connected to each other, that communicate with each other as nodes, managing the network, making sure it's secured, making sure that transactions or data are captured in a transparent manner, making sure it's distributed, making sure that it's immune to hacking and hackers, as it were. So because cryptocurrencies run on blockchain, it also is secure because of the security feature of the blockchain. So that's one feature of the cryptocurrency. Then it's immutable, meaning that you cannot change whatever value you have, whatever numbers you have. I told you that cryptocurrencies are finite in number. Majority of them are finite in number, of course, depending on how they are designed. Then it is scarce, which also ties into what I've said before. For instance, Bitcoin, there can only be 21 million Bitcoins. Now, you can't have more than 21 million Bitcoins. As we speak, you don't even know the number of Naira notes that we have. For instance, if you are a Nigerian, because the central bank has within its powers to print these notes as much as they want. And guess what? When you print money without, corresponding value being created, then the note itself or that money loses value. That's why you have so much cash chasing few goods, and that's where concepts like inflation come into play. Okay, so I tell you another example. During the COVID period, a lot of people were back home. People couldn't move about, they couldn't go to work. The US government printed, in fact, 21% of all total dollar bills ever created was printed during that time. That was so much cash pushed into the system, and it started to dilute the value of the US dollar that the citizens or any other person who held it anywhere in the world, started to dilute the buying power. So that's one thing about all these fiat currencies and government, backed currencies. Why? Because the central banks have within their powers to print as much money as they want, thereby, diluting the power that currency has. With cryptocurrencies, there is no such thing. Nobody wakes up and start printing, cryptocurrencies. In fact, in the case of Bitcoin, it is released gradually. It is released gradually into the system. As I speak now, there are about 18 million Bitcoins that are already released. And by 2140, the year 2140, all the 21 million Bitcoins would have been mined. So you can see it's a long time from now. And that's why this cryptocurrency has the ability to hedge against inflations. A lot of people use it to maintain, to hold the value of their fiat currencies, or the value that they have, or their money as it were. So scarcity is one of the strongest features of cryptocurrencies, which also help to keep the value of your local currency. So these are the things that make cryptocurrencies stand aside, or stand different, as it were, from the normal fiat currencies that So when I mention fiat, I'm just talking about countries, different countries' currencies, paper money, the one that you and I are used to, for transacting and buying everyday stuff. So why use cryptocurrency? Why should I even care? Oh, I have paper money, I can buy things, I can pay for things, I can go to the market and do what I want to do. So why should I even bother about using cryptocurrencies? Now, one thing you should know is that cryptocurrencies are permissionless, meaning that nobody can stop you from using it. Yeah, you can wake up one morning and the bank folds. Now, one thing you should know about centralized systems like, the banks and other, financial houses out there, is the fact that it has a central point of failure, meaning that if anything goes wrong, like if the bank goes bankrupt or something just happens, or even if the bank doesn't go bankrupt, you just have one issue and your accounts are frozen, you may not be able to get your money out. But with cryptocurrency, you are in total control. So nobody can actually stop you from using your money. That's why we say it's permissionless. Another reason you should consider using cryptocurrencies is that it's secured, okay, from the explanations I've already given, due to, the cryptographic nature of the way these cryptocurrencies are designed. When I say cryptography, I mean the use of codes to make it secure, to make it authentic, to make it trustworthy, so that you know that you're getting the real thing, okay? So another reason you should consider using cryptocurrency is the fact that it is cheap and a faster way of making payments. Now, I give you a backstory. I used to have a family member who left the shores of the country for studies abroad. Now, in the first 10 years of his being away from the country, of course, we needed to send him money because he was studying and all of that. Getting money across to him used to be like, it takes a long time. I still remember the process. I have to get the local currency. I have to go exchange it for the dollar. I have to go to the bank and maybe spend like 2-3 hours to be able to pay in that money, do the paperwork, and of course, get the bank to send it. But guess what? He doesn't get the money that same day. I can literally tell you that there are times that he took like 2 days, 3 days, sometimes up to 1 week. The fastest was a little over a day for that money to get to him. Why? Because it was not possible to deliver that money straight to his own account over there where he was studying. So there has to be an intermediary bank, a bank in between my own bank and the bank of this family member that was receiving the funds. So the money will leave my own account via my own bank, and of course get to this intermediary bank that was in another continent, another place, that I don't even know. And then it will take some time again before the money is now rerouted to this family member of mine who is expecting to get the money. So you can see the journey that it takes, Of course, I had to pay charges, sometimes up to 5 to 10% of what value I was sending. So if I was sending $1,000, for instance, I would have to get between $50 to $100 ready for charges, that is transaction fees that I have to pay, because of course they are not going to be doing it for free for me. Fast forward to 2020, in fact, fast forward to 2021 stroke 2022, I started to send value and exchange value with this family member of mine using cryptocurrencies. I don't have to leave my home. I don't have to go, look for any foreign currency to pay to I don't have to do all that. And guess what? All this can happen within 5 minutes, just sitting in my home and using my mobile phone. Can't you see how innovative this is? Can't you see how fast? And guess what? To mention that I paid just, a fraction of what I would have paid as charges, okay? It didn't matter how much I was sending. If I was using the USD, which is, like the stable dollar in the crypto space, I paid just $1. Yes, you heard me right, just one USDT, no matter the amount I'm sending. Isn't that one of the cheapest transactions that could happen at this point in time, no matter how much you're sending? And so you can see, this is from my own personal experience. I'm not telling you something else someone told me. This is something I have, experienced, and I know a lot of people who have also experienced this. So using cryptocurrencies to pay is one fast and cheap way to make payments across the globe. Are you a business person and you're looking to make payments as quickly as possible so that you can get, your business partner to send you the goods? Let's say you're dealing in hairs, human hairs, or you're importing bags and shoes as a woman. You're doing, body cream products, fashion products, all kinds of stuff, and you need to make payments as quickly as possible and then get your goods shipped to you. Use of cryptocurrency is one way to make that payment cheaper and, of course, faster. Okay, so with that said, let's look at different cryptocurrencies. Ladies, there are different cryptocurrencies. Now, this was extracted from CoinMarketCap. So I want you to write this down. After this session, find some time to go to CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is a tool that allows you learn of the different cryptocurrencies there are, the names, the acronyms that they use, the current price. You can see their progress from the time it was launched. You can get basically information about the different cryptocurrencies. So I went there and extracted this. This is the first 10 cryptocurrencies. Now, why do I refer to them as the first 10 cryptocurrencies? They're the first 10 cryptocurrencies according to their market capitalization. Market capitalization is according to the number of the coin itself, the cryptocurrencies, times its current value. So let's say we have 18 million Bitcoins, okay? 18 million Bitcoins, like 1, 2, 3, up to 18 million. Now, the current price of Bitcoin, this is the current price. Actually, I extracted this last night. So this is near the current price. So if you multiply that 18 million by this current price, it will now give you the market capitalization of Bitcoin. So according to market cap, that's how this is arranged. That is according to value or market value. That's exactly what that means. So you can see this is arranged accordingly. Bitcoin is one of them because it's obviously the first cryptocurrency that was invented by Satoshi Nakamoto. So this is it. This is the first one. Then sometime in 2015, we had the launch of Ethereum. This is the current price of Ethereum. For one Ethereum is 1,600 thereabouts, okay? So you can see all these. These are according to market cap. This is Theta USD. So Theta USD is like the crypto equivalent of the normal dollar that you know, and it's pegged at $1 for one. So it's 1 for 1. Okay, so we have BNB. This is another cryptocurrency on the Binance Smart Chain. We have SRP, which is a cryptocurrency on the Ripple network. We have USDC. USDC is another, stable coin. It's called stable coin because it's pegged to the dollar. I mean, it's pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar, and it doesn't fluctuate in price like other cryptocurrencies. So this is a stable coin, the USDC coin. We also have another stable coin here, USDT. So this and this are stable coins. Then we have Dogecoin, we have Cardano, we have Tron coin, we have Solana. All these are different cryptocurrencies. As you can see here, my source is CoinMarketCap. So I want you to write this down or screenshot this page. Just go to your search, bar on Chrome or Google or whatever, a search engine you use, and type coinmarketcap.com. It will definitely take you to this page, and you can see all the information that you have. Definitely, these are not all the information you can get about each cryptocurrency, but for the sake of this class, I just thought to just bring out the name and, of course, the corresponding value in terms of how much they are worth as we speak. So in case you're asking now, how many cryptocurrencies do we have? We have about 22,000 different cryptocurrencies. In fact, almost 23,000 cryptocurrencies, and put together their market value. That is, if you add all their value, the market value, just like the way I explained earlier, it will be worth about $1.1 trillion. That is, if you put all the market cap of Ethereum, of SRP, of Litecoin, of all the different cryptocurrencies that you know, it comes to the value of 1.1 trillion. Now, let me tell you, at the peak, because cryptocurrencies move up and down in market value, there was a time cryptocurrencies, all the cryptocurrencies that you know totally put together was around $3 trillion. Yes, you heard me right. $3 trillion, yes. But because of the fluctuation in price, there's been some downsizing for some months now. And in the coming year, we're going to be having what we call the Bitcoin halving, okay? That's like an event that happens and divides the number of Bitcoins that are released per every 10 minutes as a reward for people who are managing the Bitcoin network. And so that also helps in, it sort of, informs the price of other cryptocurrencies. So most cryptocurrencies take their activities or their price from the price of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin was generally moving up, you would see other cryptocurrencies, generally, moving up as well. It's not, for every cryptocurrency, but that's like a norm. You generally see other cryptocurrencies also moving up in price with it. And if there's a downsizing, like if the value is fluctuating downwards, okay, it also affects it. So sentiments, buying and selling, all these things affect the price of cryptocurrency. And this is a value that you can trust because we hold it from Forbes.com. So you can also check this out, /cryptocurrencies. You're able to get authentic information about. So these are extra resources available that you can use. So let's quickly now look at the cryptocurrency timeline very, very quickly. I just thought to add this. So you can see how the journey of cryptocurrency started from 1983. That was how, in fact, the idea behind cryptocurrencies were developed. And I told you that in 1991, like we discussed last week, that these two gentlemen, Staudt-Haber and Scott Stroessner, were the two gentlemen that laid the foundation for the invention of blockchain. And blockchain is the underlying technology for cryptocurrency. So having had that, cryptocurrency was launched in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto after releasing the white paper. By 2009, it was then launched. It went live, like it went mainstream, and people now started to learn about it gradually. By 2010, Bitcoin was traded. That's the first time ever Bitcoin was traded, on an exchange. And that time the value was just 1 cent, guys, one cent. Okay, it was 1 cent, as you can see here in value. In the value. Then other cryptocurrencies by 2011 started to emerge. Cryptocurrencies like Litecoin, like Namecoin, and Swiftcoin. These coins started to emerge because the foundation had already been formed or laid by the launch of Bitcoin. So other cryptocurrencies started to emerge. And remember, when these cryptocurrencies come on board, it's not like they're just building these cryptocurrencies. They are looking to solve problems. They're looking to improve on the previous cryptocurrencies. So each of these cryptocurrencies have areas that they're focusing on or the value that they want to provide. So sometime in 2013, Bitcoin reached $1,000 in value. Remember when it was launched, it was almost zero. At the inception, it was zero. Nobody knew about it, but the value started, as people started to understand how it works, the value it's bringing, then people started to hold it, to trade it, and the, value started to improve as it were. Now, sometime in 2015, Ethereum was launched. Ethereum was launched by a person named Buterin Vitalik. Okay, he was once also part of the Bitcoin team, and then he saw some of the challenges that the Bitcoin, as it were, and the blockchain was facing, and he decided to improve on that, which led to the launch of Ethereum. And Ethereum was launched to take care of smart contracts and decentralized applications. So smart contracts are like contracts between two parties, but written in form of codes. Like, it's not the kind of contract you sign on paper. These are contracts that are designed using cryptography or codes, as it were, and it works on what we call the if then. So if this condition is met, then let this this obligation be met. That's how it worked, but it's not within our discussion today. So much later in our in our trainings, we'll be able to handle smart contracts and why it's important and how to even interact with it. Then Bitcoin reached $20,000 for one. Remember, for one, around 2017. By the way, at this point in time, I think I should mention that Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies are actually divisible. Right? You can have minute parts of one Bitcoin, like it's called one Satoshi. It's like dividing one Bitcoin into a million parts, a million times. Okay, so it's broken into different minute parts or fractions. For instance, you can send somebody 0.01 Bitcoin. You can send somebody 0.5 Bitcoin. You can send somebody 0.0003 Bitcoin. Okay, so that is doable. But at this point, what we're talking about, by 2017, one full Bitcoin, that is one full Bitcoin, was worth $20,000. By 2018, Bitcoin again dropped, okay, because of so many, sentiments, things were coming up, questions, lack of faith, in the system and things like a lot of sentiments brought the value down to $3,000. And of course, regulatory issues were really playing out at this time. By 2019, the owner of Facebook, now Meta, announced the launch of their own cryptocurrency, meaning that they wanted to use Facebook. Since many people, the idea behind that was that there were a lot of unbanked individuals. Many people, about 2.5 billion people at that time, were unbanked. Unbanked meaning that they couldn't even access financial, they couldn't access financial institutions. Some didn't even have identities to even go to the bank and open account. So they were not part of the, economy as it is. It's as if those people were rigged out. And you have all these kind of people spread across the globe. But guess what? You had almost equal amount of, people on Facebook, like about 3 billion people were on Facebook. So people felt like the people behind Facebook felt like, since you have a lot of people on Facebook who have access to, smartphone to do Facebook, but may not have identities to go to the banks and create, bank accounts or be able to be incorporated into the financial world, it will be easier for them to be able to exchange value. So somebody could be in one part of the world and send money to another person, across the globe using Facebook, since they are on the same platform. That was the idea. But guess what? That sparked some serious controversy. And before you know it, that project didn't take off as expected. So we continue. By 2020, Bitcoin surpassed the $3,000, value as at 2018 and grows to 10,000, value. I mean, $10,000 in value. And of course, that's when some institutions, big corporations like Visa, like MasterCard, like BlackRock, so many big corporations out there started to, look at the value that this digital currency can actually bring. So that marked the time that, you know, big corporations started taking advantage, okay? Institutional adoption, as it were. And so by 2021, Bitcoin had reached $50,000 in value. It had become mainstream. People who had a lot of money, you know, were now using it as a hedge against inflation. Remember, within this same period, we had COVID, people were at home, different countries were printing their currencies, money was just losing value anyhow. So people were now saying, oh, if this is what is happening, if our local currencies are losing value, why can't we convert our, you know, local currencies to, you know, digital currencies so that we can hold their value? And that's how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, you know, the crypto world generally started gaining serious attention. In fact, at some point, Bitcoin hit $69,000 for one. Yes, you heard me right. Sometime in 2021, before the value now started coming down. So you saw in my chart, we're about $26,000 for one now. So it's normal. Normally, these digital currencies follow a cycle. And so we're also close to when we're going to be having the Bitcoin halving. So what's happening in 2023, apart from the price of Bitcoin not as high as it was the last time it had the highest value, which was $69,000, there are more adoption by businesses. Now people are understanding Bitcoin and different cryptocurrencies and using them. Now, why we are focusing on Bitcoin mostly is because it is the pioneering cryptocurrency. It's the first cryptocurrency, and it's the widely used. It's a widely used cryptocurrency, both by individuals, by businesses, by, you know, organizations and corporations out there. So more businesses are adopting it. Is gaining more mainstream attention. And of course, regulation is still an issue. These are the things happening in 2023 as we speak. There was a major victory for one of the cryptocurrencies that was taken to court sometime, you know, 3 years ago. That's SRP. And they got a major victory about 2 or 3 months ago. And so you can see more and more clarifications are coming. Regulations are becoming clearer. In some jurisdictions, like in the United Arab Emirates, they have their virtual asset regulatory authority, that is VARA, that have brought out laws governing virtual assets and digital currencies. So that's to tell you that it's entirely not backwards. People are beginning to understand the power that cryptocurrencies have, are beginning to develop laws that will help govern the space so that it is safe for everyone to participate in, whoever is interested in participating in. Like I said, in 2024, that's next year, we're going to be having the Bitcoin halving. So Bitcoin halving simply means dividing in half the number of coins that Bitcoin miners get every 10 minutes for the verification of transaction, keeping the security of the network, and of course, the decentralized nature of the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's a major event that happens every 4 years. Every four years it happens. And when it happens, a lot of things follow. So if you have been into the cryptocurrency space, you would have been hearing things like the bull run, the bear run. So bull and bear represents when the value of cryptocurrencies are generally, you know, rising, and bear represents when the market is really low, as it were. And so this also informs what will happen during those periods. Okay, so this is just to give you a timeline of how, you know, the journey of cryptocurrencies and how we got where we are. So we already know how we got from barter to Bitcoin, but how Bitcoin started to where it is now is the rundown I have just given you. So remember, it was launched 2009, January. So from 2009 till now is about 13 years or so of, you know, having this digital currency with us, and of course the value that it is bringing. So how does cryptocurrencies work? So let's say Amanda wants to send money to Rose. If she wants to send one BTC to Rose somewhere, okay, she doesn't want to go to the bank, she has one BTC in her wallet and she wants to show it. she wants to send it to Rose. Now, see what happens first. She would have to sign that transaction. First of all, she has to be sure that she has the one Bitcoin in her wallet, at least with some fraction for payment of transaction fees. Okay, so everybody has what we call private and public keys. Okay, public keys is like the wallet address. The private key is like what shows your own ownership of any digital assets that you hold. And that private key is something you should not show to anyone unless you trust them. Otherwise, it's advisable not to even show it to anyone. So first of all, what she'll have to do is to sign that transaction with her private key. Now, when she signs that transaction with her private key, remember, she's sending it over the blockchain network. She's sending this Bitcoin over the Bitcoin network, over the Bitcoin blockchain. She will not be sending Bitcoin over the Ethereum network, because if she does so, she's going to lose her funds. So she sends it over the Bitcoin network. Now that transaction is now broadcast, on the Bitcoin network. That is, those on the network, we now know, oh, there's a transaction coming in. Now, she's not the only one doing transaction on the Bitcoin network, obviously. So all the transactions that are coming in within that period is packaged into a block. Okay, so let's say this blue box here, this blue block here is the block representing the transaction. So they're all packaged together, just like the way you would tie something together, just, hold it together for the main time, okay? So that's how that transaction, Amanda's transaction, remember, she wants to send one BTC to Rose, her friend, and so other people who are also trying to send Bitcoin at that time, everything is packaged into block that is publicly seen. Remember, it's open source technology. People can see it so long you're on the network. You'll be able to see, oh, this is an incoming transaction. Now, what happens is that there are people we call miners. Miners are the people who maintain the authenticity of the network. They provide, security. Their presence provides security. It provides, decentralization, as it were. And so when this transmitted transaction is seen, everybody on the network, remember, it's not just one person, it's not just two people, it's not just three people. We have a lot of people. When I say people, I mean computers, or what you might also call nodes, that hold a copy of each of the transactions ever done on the blockchain network. Okay, so it's just like you have a letter, and that letter is stored in different places. You have different copies of the letter. So you know that even if you lose one, you also have access to other copies of the same letter. Okay, so that's what happens in the blockchain network. You have all the transactions ever that has taken place in the blockchain network in these blocks, and of course, held by different computers that are on the network. So what happens is when a new transaction is broadcasted in the network, miners begin to work. So why are they called miners? It's similar to the way people go to mine, gold. Gold is a precious metal. It's not something you come by easily. So that concept of mining precious metals like gold is what is also applicable here in the blockchain space. Okay, so this type of mining is not the gold mining where people use axe and pickaxes and hoe and whatever to dig the ground. Yes, it represents the concept, but it's not exactly the same thing. So the mining process here is what we refer to as solving complex mathematical solution. That's how the inventor of Bitcoin designed it. So for people to provide, verify and validate transactions on the network, if you are a miner, then you have to solve mathematical questions that become increasingly difficult with time, as a way of showing their commitment. Now, the miners will have to show their commitment. They have to also prove the work that they are doing, because at the end of the day, whoever solves the math question faster and correctly gets a reward. So that's how Bitcoins are released. Bitcoins are released by the rewards that the miners receive. So for each time a miner gets a mathematical question correctly, the person gets a certain number of Bitcoins awarded to him or her as a show of appreciation for participation, and of course for keeping the network secure, for validating transactions, and of course for making it more and more decentralized. So as we speak, when a miner successfully confirms a transaction, I think the person gets 6.5 or 6.25, I think 6.5 Bitcoins. The person gets 6.5 Bitcoins for, successfully mining, successfully completing that mathematical, equation or puzzle, as it were. So now, when that happens, it is one miner at a time. Of course, when that mathematical question is thrown, everyone on the network tries to solve it. But guess what? It's only one person that can get it. And the person who gets it correctly and does it in good time gets, awarded with that. So with that, miners work to validate this transaction. And then once they are able to validate it, they add it to the blocks of already confirmed transactions, already validated transaction. And once it is done, now that validated transaction or that block, remember when Amanda sent her own or initiated her own transaction, other people's transactions were also packaged together into a block. So all these things happen for the different transactions. Now they are packaged in a block, and then everybody, other miners will now have a copy and agree that, okay, this transaction has been validated. So everybody has a true copy of these transactions added to the copies of the older transactions that they already hold. And so this new block of transactions are now linked to the old transactions that were already in their possession. So that's how new blocks are added to the old block. So each on the approximately 10 minutes, each block, new blocks are added to the previous blocks. I hope I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so when these transactions are now concluded, validated, they're packaged in a block and added by what we call chains, connected by chains to the old blocks. And guess what? This new block is now replicated across the other blocks to keep all the information the same and intact. That's why it is statistically impossible for anyone to try to hack into the blockchain. Why? Because any attempt will not work. What you want to hack here is already duplicated across the computer node. So how do you want to even begin to change the information? For you to successfully do that, you have to change it for every other, block or node that already has that information. So you see why this is one of the most secured technology, in the history of humans. Now that this has been validated, what now happens is that the funds are now sent to Rose. So Rose now receives the 1 Bitcoin in her wallet. By the way, before you can send Bitcoin, you need wallets. In our subsequent trainings, we're going to be looking at how to download a wallet, how to set it up, how to purchase your first Bitcoin, or a fraction of Bitcoin. Of course, you can purchase $10 worth of Bitcoin. You can purchase $5 worth of Bitcoin. You can purchase $20 worth of Bitcoin. You can purchase $100 worth of Bitcoin, or even $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. It's not necessarily that you have to purchase one full Bitcoin. Of course, you can also purchase multiples of one full Bitcoin. So these are some of the things that we're going to be learning. And of course, how to interact with the exchanges where you will make these purchases. So Rose receives it, but for her to access it, she also needs to access it with her own private keys. Remember, the private keys are meant to be kept secured. Anyone who has access to your private keys can actually claim your cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency that you may have. So this is exactly how cryptocurrency works. That is the transfer of cryptocurrency over the blockchain. That's how it works. So I recap again. Amanda sends the coin. She has to first of all, she initiates the transaction. She signs the transaction with her private key. That transaction is broadcasted to the blockchain network alongside other transactions that are happening within that same time. The miners see it and they begin to solve this math question, this math puzzle, to be able to confirm the transaction. The person who does it faster and does it correctly, verifies the transaction and earns the reward for doing so. Then that transaction is now added to other transactions as validated. And so the block of the transaction is now added to other blocks that are already in the network. And then Rose can now get her cryptocurrency, that's her Bitcoin, and she can access it using her own private keys. I hope this makes a lot of sense for you. So as we round up now, the question you need to ask yourself, why is cryptocurrency important for women? Why should women pay attention and say, oh, I need to really understand how this works? Why? Because it's a way for women to be financially included. As we speak, more than 50% of all the people in the world, according to World Economic Forum, we have about 55% of the world population that are still unbanked, meaning that they don't have access to financial institutions. Maybe they don't even have IDs to create accounts, to be able to do business and things like that. Out of these 55%, according to World Economic Forum, more than half of them are women. So you can see there's still a lot of gap when it comes to financial inclusion. So cryptocurrencies offer opportunity for women to be included. And of course, it gives them empowerment, because those who understand how it works can actually, hold some of these cryptocurrencies. If they learn how to trade it, they can also make money. But of course, that will require some education. Then it's also protection against inflation. Like I told you, world over, inflation is depleting the value of different currencies. And so women can also hold their money, in some of these digital assets, for instance, the stable coin, so that they maintain the value of this, their money. And of course, that also gives them complete control over their funds. Like, nobody is going to tell you, you can't use your funds now, or you have to do this, you have to do that, because before you have access to your fund. This really gives, power back to the women to have control over their funds. So it's one cheap way and fast way to pay for, goods and services. So let's say you're a business person, like I've already described, cryptocurrencies can be one way to pay for goods and services, to buy things, to pay for things, whether you're on holiday, whether you're doing your normal business, whether you need to, purchase something from anywhere across the globe. You can use cryptocurrencies. It's fast, it's cheap, and it makes when the cost of doing business is minimized, then you can also get more profit from the business you're doing. So you can see how important that is for women. Then it promotes, women can promote and also participate in social change using cryptocurrencies. Yes, there are women who advocate for change. Let's say women can come together and say, oh, we want to solve a particular problem in the community or in the world. Let's say we want to look out for children who are out of school. They can use cryptocurrency to promote that, and of course, save some money towards such causes, as it were. So cryptocurrencies can help women, participate in different social causes. So it's one reason women should pay attention. We have a lot of women, entrepreneurs, philanthropies who actually want to support, but because there's no complete control over where the money is going to, and to be sure if the money is actually getting, or the resources actually getting to the people who really deserve it. Some people are discouraged, some women are discouraged. But for the fact that the use of cryptocurrency is secure, it's peer-to-peer, you don't need any central authority, women can actually make these donations directly to the people who actually need them. So it becomes one very strong way for women to participate in social causes. And of course, they are able to also contribute to the development and innovation of the cryptocurrency space. There are a lot of women who are building fantastic, things, doing some innovative, providing some innovative solutions using blockchain and cryptocurrency. So women, this is one reason women should pay attention, so that they can also contribute to the development of the crypto space. Guess what? The crypto space is not only for women. I mean, for men, women too can do crypto. Yeah, women can do crypto. And so that's why here at BitQueens, we're helping you understand how this technology works, so that you too can make impact in the world. It doesn't matter the industry you fall in, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a business person, whether you're a doctor, there is always one thing or the other, or one way or the other, that blockchain can support any field that you are in, and of course help you make impact. So with that said, yay, we come to the end of today's session. So what did we learn? We learned how we move from barter to cryptocurrency, to Bitcoin. We looked at how cryptocurrency was born, specifically, Bitcoin. We looked at what Bitcoin cryptocurrencies are, their features, why you should use it, different cryptocurrencies, how it works, and why women should pay attention. Go to the comments if you're excited, if you got value. I want to see your feedback coming in. I want to see that feedback coming in. I'm so excited we're able to do this. This is so much. Cryptocurrencies are very important. In fact, they're very significant in the use of blockchain. And guess what? Though it is very useful, it's just about 3% of what blockchain can do. So the focus is to understand the blockchain itself and see everything, understand how it can be applied in our everyday life. So understanding that makes the use of cryptocurrency even easier. So let me see your feedback coming in. Go to the comments. Tell me how you feel about today's session, because ladies, we are so done with this session today. Okay, so while I'm waiting for your feedback, please ensure that you follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok. Anywhere you are, we've got you. Go there and give us a follow. Go to the search. When you get to these social media platforms, search for BitQueens. It will immediately pop up. You will see this very beautiful logo. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, drop your comments, engage with the content we publish there from time to time, and give us your feedback. If there are questions that you have, feel free to leave them in the comments of the post. We'll, of course, give you the feedback you're looking for. And of course, in our community, ensure that you also stay active, make it interactive, and it will be fun. Thank you, Mutiat. Thank you, Amaka Evolving Gems says you are a pro. Mary says it's an amazing session with you. Oge says thank you, Queen K. Laura said so amazing. She said yes, I'm enjoying the class. Thank you so very much. Joy says we are learning. Amaka says right on. Okay, thank you so very much. All these are fantastic feedback. Okay, so with that said, now let's get your reactions. Who wants to go first? Who wants to ask questions? I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I don't know anything. Now you know. So is there any part I missed? Do you have any questions? Or you've had some interaction with some cryptocurrencies and you want to learn more, you want to ask specific questions? Now is the time.